So thank you guys all for joining us this morning. The purpose of today's call was to talk you through the process of getting involved with the Licensee of the Year Awards. I know that some of you on the call are operators and some of you are operations teams from pub companies who will be looking to nominate people. So that's great because we want to make sure as many people are involved in the competition as possible because we know how many fantastic operators are out there. And you've got to be in it to win it. So we've got Mike and Tommy on the call this morning, who are the 2025 reigning champions of Licensee of the Year Awards. So very pleased that they've made time in their very busy schedules to be with us. And once we've gone through some of the initial slides on how to get involved, Mike and Tommy are going to talk to you about their experience of going through the process and also what the competition's done for them. So I would love for you to ask any questions that you might have. If they come up whilst we're presenting the slides, if you can pop them in the chat box, and they can be directed at either me and the BII team or Mike and Tommy. And then once we get to the questions at the end, we'll go through those. So we're going to talk you through first the application process. So this is the process of nominating somebody or nominating yourself to get involved with the competition. So Gabe, if you could move to the first slide, please. The first thing is, why would you enter the Licensee of the Year Award, or why would you nominate somebody to enter? So Lawyer is the Oscars of the licensed trade industry. So it's the most in-depth and prestigious competition in the licensed trade. It's a great opportunity to showcase your business to a wider audience and to boost your recognition. But it's also great from a brand perspective and to drive customers into your pub and to look at your pub business from an external perspective that you maybe wouldn't normally do. So we do encourage people to look at Licensee of the Year Awards as a developmental process. So as you go through each stage, the competition is designed for you to stand back and look at your business from a perspective that you maybe wouldn't normally have the opportunity to do. Next slide, please, Gabe. So the first stage that we ask for is nomination. So this could be you nominating yourself because you want to get involved with the competition, or it could be you as an operational BDM or RDM for a pub company nominating somebody within your either leased and tenanted or your managed business, and saying, we think you're good enough to get involved. It's all done online, so there's a form that you fill out, and it's really, really straightforward to nominate somebody. There are no limits to how many people you can nominate, and there's no reason why you can't nominate yourself. But we do ask that anyone who enters the competition needs to have been in their business for 2 years. They need to have a food hygiene rating of 4 or 5, and if they're in Scotland, that's a pass. And they also need to hold a personal license. So in the instance where you've got 2 people entering as a partnership, one of them needs to hold a personal license. When we get all of the applications back, and the deadline for that is the 20th of February, we will then narrow down to our quarterfinalists, and there will be 50 of those. So only the top 50 application forms will go through to the quarterfinals. So that application process is really important. Each of those 50 quarterfinalists will receive a social media and website audit by the BII team and a mystery shopper visit as well. There's also some other stuff that we put into the quarterfinals, which we are just working on at the moment, but there'll be some added value this year in terms of some extra insight for everybody that goes through that stage. Once we've done that, we will then add those scores together. And we will narrow it down to 12. So we go from 50 down to 12. So however many people have entered, the 12 that have the highest score at that point will go through to the semi-finals. And those semi-finalists are going to get 2 things. So they're going to get an independent visit from our head judges. So you can see our head judges, Amanda and Ashley, on the screen here. They're going to arrange, so they're pre-arranged, they're not surprise visits, but they're going to go out to each of those 12 sites and they're going to do some really detailed face-to-face interviews. So they're not scary people, they're operators, but they are going to look at your business and ask you lots of questions about how you operate. And you'll also at that point have a financial review that is undertaken by our judges. So that's not just Amanda and Ash, but our financial panel judges. It's completely confidential. So none of that information is shared with anybody outside of the lawyer process. But of course, financials are a really important part of making sure that we choose the right winner. Now, before we move on from that, I just want to let you know it's not about the company or the business that takes the most money. It's about making sure that you're managing your P&L and that you are in a good place and that you are aware of your financial situation. So it's not the site with the highest turnover that we're looking for, but we are looking to make sure that the licensee of the year understands their financials, understands their business position. So that's a really important part of the competition. And of course, that's why we ask that you've been in your pub for 2 years at that point. If we can move to the next slide, please. So when we've done that and we've had all of our judging visits, we whittle down again, and that takes us down to the final 6 pubs. And those final 6 pubs will be invited to our Sky Judging Day, which is held on Monday, the 15th of June. And it's the day before our summer event. So this is a little bit Dragon's Den-y. It's 3 different panels that will be interviewing the finalists on customer experience, people development, and business resilience. So they'll be asking questions about your business, or the nominee's business, and they'll be looking for lots and lots of details. So whilst it can be quite daunting, you're all in the same boat. By that point, you'll have made some great connections with other operators that are in the same position as you. And the judges are not asking you questions about the industry, they're asking you questions about your business. So hopefully it's an opportunity for you to really shine and to show them what you're all about. The day after the finals, we will be announcing the winners at the summer event. So that's the pinnacle of all of what we've been working towards from now until June. June the 15th and June the 16th are the 2 dates that anyone who is getting involved needs to make sure that they're going to be available on. So that's the process for lawyer. But today I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the application in detail, because that first stage of the competition, where we narrow down to 50, is so important, because we're narrowing down based only on what you've included in that application form. So the people looking at the applications don't know you and they don't know your pub. So if you don't put enough information in there, you could be the best operator in the UK, but you might not make it through that first stage, so no one will ever get the opportunity to know about it. So today we're just going to run through very quickly some of the things that you would want to include in that application. And after today's call, what we'll also do is share some slides with you, and we'll send them out to anyone who was booked onto the call but hasn't been able to make it, and to everybody who's on the call as well, so that you can see the questions that you're going to get asked in that application form. So there's going to be questions that are based around your business. So what kind of business do you run? Who are your customers? What's your customer demographic? What do you specifically tailor your offer to? How do you attract new customers? What do you do to measure your success? And really, what makes your business stand out against other businesses in your area? So if you think about other businesses close to you, what makes you different? What's your USP? Next slide, please, Gabe. We're going to ask about your team. So Licensee of the Year looks at all areas of your business, because the winner of this competition will be an all-round winner. So we want to know how you recruit. We understand the challenges with staffing and the challenges with the costs of staffing. But what do you do to make sure that you've got the best talent in your venue? What do you do to train them and develop them and make sure that they're giving the very best customer experience on your behalf? How do you look after their well-being? So, do you do something special to look after your team that other people don't do? Outside of, pay, what do you offer to your team? And how would your team describe working for you? So what do your team say about you guys as employers? Next slide, please, Kate. We're also going to ask you questions around sustainability and diversification. So when we say sustainability, that could be reducing your waste, It can be using local suppliers. It could be anything that you're doing to reduce waste and costs within your business, but also to try and adapt and diversify your business to make sure that it's there for the future. So talk about any investments that you're making, any upgrades that you've done to your outdoor spaces, and anything that you've done really to reduce costs, reduce energy, and reduce waste usage within your business. We also really want to know about anything you do for the community. So, community is probably one of the most important areas for me of what a pub does, and support of the community in so many different ways, from raising money for charity to looking after local sports teams and sponsoring events. So talk about those things. Talk about how you support local groups and whether or not you do coffee mornings for people who are lonely, or are you registered as a warm space? Talk about all of the things that you do to help to support your community through your application, because that's a really important part. And finally, talk about what's different about you. Why do you deserve to win Licensee of the Year? Or in the case of you nominating somebody, why do they deserve to win Licensee of the Year? So this application form will be filled out by the nominee. But of course, if you've nominated somebody and they want you to assist them, then that's fine too. So, you know, what have they done that makes them stand out? Or what have you done that makes you stand out against other people? What have you got planned for the future? And what was your journey? You know, how did you get into the industry? How did you end up where you are now? And what support have you seen that has had an impact on you, that you want to show to other people? So give us a real feel for you. And you can do that in lots of different ways. So next slide, please, Gabe. What we're going to ask you to do, so the form that you'll get sent out when you either nominate somebody, it will go, a link will be sent to them, or if you're nominating yourself, a link will be sent to you. And it's an online application form that you can fill in and you can go back to. But we've set it up so that you can drag and drop in lots of additional evidence. So that could be little videos of customer or staff testimonials. It can be photos of the venue, or events that you've held. Any evidence of any charity work that you've done, or things that you've done for the community, or any other awards that you've won. And please don't be shy to add this in. So it's really important that when you're filling out your application, that you brag about what you do, because the people who are looking at all of these applications that come in have got to narrow it down to 50. So give them a really good vibe. Make sure that this application really showcases what's different about you. Next slide, please. There we go. So do write full and detailed answers to each question. Don't just put a one-liner in, because again, the guys are going to be going through probably 150 different applications, and they will be picking the ones that have the best all-round picture of those nominees. Please do attach about stuff that you've done. You know, photos, videos, shout about your achievements. And if you've got any questions, don't be shy in sending an email to the team, because they're more than willing to support you. Don't be modest. Don't leave it till the last minute. The way that this has been set up, you can go in and out of the application form. So you can go in and do one section, and then you can go back and do a couple of days' work, and you can come back and do the next section. So you've got the opportunity to go in and out of that application form as many times as you need, up until the 20th of February. So you can sit and do that. You can get other people to look over it with you to make sure that you've not missed anything. But don't be modest and don't leave it till the last minute. So that's, I think, enough from me. So I have got, or we have got, luckily, Mike and Tommy on the call. So they're the winners from last year. So Mike and Tommy, could you just tell us a little bit about what it was like for you being involved in the competition from the very beginning, as to why you chose to get involved all the way through to the end of the different stages?
Well, morning, everyone. Thanks, Hannah. Um, it was a whirlwind. Crikey, it was obviously round about this time last year. We were very lucky enough to be nominated for this award, which was great. We We didn't know a huge amount at that stage about the BII. We were very, very honest about that. We were members of the BII. We utilised a few of the membership opportunities, but when we were nominated, it was yeah, opened our eyes up a lot to the process, and we got the application form through. And I I think that's one of the most interesting things from the whole experience because you learn a lot about your business in that time. If you're going to take it seriously and really go for it, that application form is crucial. But Tommy and I learned so much about our businesses, good things we'd done, mistakes we'd made in the 2 and a bit years we'd had the pub, and it really opened your eyes to it. And then when you start to pour out the things that you've done and you've achieved and you could do better, it really painted a picture for us.
Yeah, and I think actually, like, I think what's really, really important to go for this for anyone looking to enter or nominate this year is we're really lucky that there's me and Mike and our respective partners. So Mike could spend a long time on this application while I was managing the shop floor as it should be. So he was spending a lot of time to get it through because it was the most important part. Be super detailed, mark down all your achievements, everything you've done. It's probably the number one thing that we can take from it. That application form is the most important thing. Now, for me and Mike, we never really looked at going into winning awards. It wasn't really part of our sort of mocking at what we wanted to do. We were just here running our pub, looking after the community, looking after our customers. So to get that nomination was a huge recognition from our BDM, Dave. And I think that, yeah, and that was sort of our sort of instincts on it because yeah, it wasn't something we ever looked at or looked to do. But
We don't look for awards, we don't enter awards, but yeah, to have that recognition just to be nominated was super cool. So then we thought, okay, we're going to really go for this. But yeah, we've said it lots of times last year to people. That application form is the most important thing. Shout yourselves from the rooftops.
yeah, it's not about you this time. It's not about anyone else. It's
Yeah,
about you.
everything you've done, everything you've achieved. The video testimonials are absolutely key. We could have sat here last year and said we were the greatest pub in the world. You know what I mean? We could have said that.
Which you
We think
are.
well, we think we do a good job. We're proud of what we do, but that could all be pie in the sky, really. It could be. We could be saying anything. We really went to town on the customer testimonials and supplier testimonials, and some of our yeah suppliers and customers essentially. They said it out there, and charities we've worked with as well. We got video testimonials from them. They're the ones who will really say if they think what you're doing is as good as it should be. So yeah,
And
so crucial.
how long would you say you spent? I appreciate that you didn't do it all in one block, but how long would you say you spent on that application from sort of start to finish?
Probably yeah.
Months and months. No.
We
You spent a long
I
time.
worked on it over a couple of weeks, a few hours at a time. Once you start to delve into it and think you've really got to give as much information as you possibly can, it's like you're opening Pandora's box. You've really got to go for it. But if you're serious about entering, get dedicate that time to it. It's so important, but it's brilliant. And I keep saying I've gone back to that application form a few times, even since post winning the award. It really does. You do learn a lot about your business.
Sorry, I think there was a question that popped through. I saw it pop up in the chat.
Yeah, so the Amy's asked a question. How did winning the award help you to drive your business forward, and what's been the impact on you since you won?
I think it's a tough one to give exact details because not a lot of people, if you're not in the industry, you might not know how important the BII are. So it might just be another trophy, but for us, it's definitely increased footfall into the pub. Like we said to you this morning, it's into our year number 3 now of having the horseshoes, and was probably the busiest Christmas we've had. Um, so that had a huge impact. It also impacted us on what, when we got through to the judging panel at Sky HQ, having all those industry leaders and people that actually know stuff, listening to their opinions. Mike Cliff was a really important one. Justine was a really important one. And we've actually taken information that they shared and sort of embarked it into our business. And I think that was sort of that's been the real the drivers and for the community as well, and sorry, Molly.
Yes,
And for,
Molly, thank you for the blister plasters.
Yeah, thank you, Molly.
yeah, we can go into that story another time. But yeah, and I think the community's really got a side of it. People like seeing the trophy, they like seeing what we've done. We still have the BII news on the people, on the side, and people come in and read it. it's definitely had a huge impact. And actually, probably for myself and Mike, um, being able to go to all these industry awards and speak in front of hospitality peers, that's been the biggest one for us that we've really enjoyed that, and it's a huge humble privilege to be able to do those sort of things.
Yeah, and that's the bit I was going over actually as well about that. So clearly, so we didn't know what to expect when we won the award. We had no idea the kind of whirlwind that comes with it and the attention. I guess now it's safe to say you become a degree of a voice for the industry, and the things that the BII have asked us to do, and other people have asked us to get involved with, in the media, it does give you that's where the footfall's been increased a lot as well. We've had people coming in for dinner who've heard us on Radio 2 or something else, but they've never been in the pub. They've listened to it. We were on LBC a few weeks ago, and we had people come in for drinks and dinner. So it does increase that awareness to an audience that might not have necessarily been in the pub. One family came in from Burford, which is 5 minutes from us. They'd never been in the pub, but they heard it on the
Wow.
radio. So it definitely creates a big sort of swell of awareness for your pub and the industry.
And as you went through the different stages of the competition, obviously, as we go through, so when you get to the quarterfinals or when you get to the semi-finals, excuse me, we provided you with a digital badge to show that you got through to that next stage. So I think you guys use that quite a lot on social media to get your customers on board. Do you think that you started to see any increase in footfall before you won through those different stages? And did you get lots of support from your local customers?
I wouldn't say we saw an increase in footfall at that stage, but maybe you can't quantify it sometimes. But we definitely saw a big increase in awareness. A lot of our regulars, a lot of our suppliers were like, okay, what's this BII licensees of the UK licensees of the year award? So we were starting to speak to people more about it on a regular basis, and that definitely built a huge swell of awareness for what was going on. And then when people realised quite how big it was, and that it wasn't, you get a lot of awards all around the country, but in Oxfordshire we can enter awards, and it's ones that are driven by customer votes. So it might not
Okay.
necessarily be the best venue. It's who decides to get push it enough to get the most votes. When they realised this was a full judging process, it was something we were nominated for. People really started to stand up and take notice. And if you fast forward to the day we won, we had the pub here packed with people watching the webcast. So that awareness built up over a number of months. So yeah, it definitely did. It's definitely good. That branding's key, though, isn't it? And Tommy's partner Hannah looks after our social media brilliantly. So yeah, we really, really push that side of it. Even if we'd have never got past the quarterfinal stage, we could have said we were a national quarterfinalist. So we were always gonna, I don't know, embrace each level we got to maximise that, because we didn't know what was coming. We didn't know if we are going to get to the semi-finals or the finals day or ultimately win it.
So you talked earlier about how it gave you the opportunity to sort of stand back and look at your business and get feedback. Would you say that that sort of started really from the beginning when you had that application form and you had to fill in all the questions about your business and the community and what you did? What was eye-opening for you guys at that stage?
I think the whole thing is because we haven't been here for a long period of time. Last year some operators that got through to the final have been doing it for 15, 20 years. We're pretty much babies at it. So actually being able to go through the application, see what you've done previously, and look at your previous 2 years figures and how everything, monetary wise, how that year one compared to year two, how year two compared to your forecast for year three. It was important to have that, to look back on things that you might not have done prior. Yeah. And to see and the nice thing is to watch all the charity work we did and have that recognition and remember, all the small events where we were raising like £500, and then next thing you know it's £5,000, next thing you know it's £20,000, and it's like, whoa, that's an achievement. So to look back on the things you've done and those memories was really cool. And to have that, I'm not saying you don't have that opportunity all the time, but to sort of write down and then remember it was quite a cool thing to go through.
It just brought a lot of things back to the front of the memory, really. And then because you've got to throw everything into the application form, you've really got to delve into everything you've achieved. But when you're doing your day-to-day stuff, you don't forget it, but you're just moving. Yeah, it does get lost in the ether, and you're moving on to the next thing. But to sit back and, I don't know, chart everything you've done. We were lucky the fact that we haven't been doing this long. If we've been doing it 20 years, and crikey, you've really got to look back into I haven't got a memory capacity for that, but yeah.
None of us have, to
Yeah.
be quite honest.
But no, it was a huge eye opener and a great experience doing that application form. That was the key, like Tommy said.
And you said that your BDM Dave nominated you for the competition, which is great. And I know that we've got some BDMs on the call, and this is something that a lot of BDMs across the UK will be looking at now. How did that feel to be nominated by your BDM, and did he support you in any way through that process?
Um, Through the process, and not necessarily because he didn't really need to, with regards to support. I mean, Dave's always there at the end of the phone. He's great, but we took the bull by the horns ourselves and wanted to do it all ourselves without sort of leaning on people. We would have done if we'd have needed to, but the application process is fairly straightforward. It's very user friendly, so I don't think we really needed to.
And
So I
what
wouldn't.
would you what would you say, sorry to interrupt, what would you say
Sorry.
to the BDMs that may be on the call or listen to the recording of this call in terms of why they should nominate their licensees? So if they've got, 50 people in their patch, what's the benefit? Why should they nominate you? And are you pleased that Dave did nominate you?
Yeah, I think for David Admiral, I think he nominated. I mean, he's got a big patch over here. He looks after, I don't know, was it 40, 50 pubs, something like that? Looks after a lot of pubs, and I think he whittled it down. Six of us, I think. And I know a few of them just didn't have the time to fill the application form out. And one of them that I know, I spoke to her, and she said, "I just didn't have the time to do it." And that's where we're lucky, where we're a little sort of gruesome twosome that we can both, intertwine our workflows to make it work.
Yeah.
I think for Dave's point of view from Admiral, that was the only sort of big award that Admiral hadn't been involved in or had any sort of won. So I think for him, he was really driving it, and obviously he picked the right people because we went and won it. I think if you pick the right pubs to nominate, make sure they're the ones that are doing the right thing. The ones that are the community pubs, because that's what people want now, a hub of a community. And not every, people run their own pubs in their own ways, but I think the ones that are going to stand out are the ones that are really involved with their communities and charities and things like that.
That's really key, isn't it? Community is key to everything. And we're representing Admiral every day, but we were really representing Admiral on this journey. So it's clearly enhanced them as a business. They're a great business anyway, but it has enhanced them. So yeah, I guess like Tommy said, any pubs the BDMs on this call do want to nominate, I think it really is the ones that really stand out and you think might put the time and effort into this and do a lot of work with the communities and charities is key.
I think, am I right in saying there was over 500 applicants last year?
Uh, there were quite a lot of applications last year, yes. So it was
Yeah.
it's always quite a big job to whittle down as we go through the process. And I know that that's one of the things that we'd love to be able to have more winners in each stage of the competition, but unfortunately we have to cut people out. But again, that's why it's so important to put that work in at the beginning stages of the competition to make sure that you have the opportunity to go through.
So make sure you stand out is kind of the goal we're all aiming for. And make sure you are the one that everyone sees.
One thing we did say from the start, and we did stick to it as our mantra all the way through, not knowing if we are going to get past the application form stage, was to be ourselves. We did that kind of at every stage because we said if we tried to be somebody else, then that we're not representing ourselves as a pub, and we're not being true to ourselves. We did that at every stage, and that had to start in the application form. I really, there was a hell of a lot of text we put into the applications, but we just wanted whoever was reading that on the other side, we wanted them to know we were who we were being real, and we are what we are. If people didn't like that, then that's fair enough, and we did that at every stage.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, luckily they did. So,
Yeah.
so thank you guys. One more thing, one quick question then. So, if there was one thing that was a real highlight of the whole experience, and going through that whole process, what's the best thing that's happened to each of you, or the best part that you've enjoyed as you've gone through the competition?
Jesus,
I think
that's a tough one.
I think for me, the one that really stands out is when we go to these. We've been to the Great British Pub Awards and we did the Neaters, and we've got a few more coming up this year. But actually, when entering these, well, when we as people go into these lovely events and people are recognizing you and sort of asking for photographs and things like that, it's super surreal because we're just two guys from Oxford, you know, we're no one special, but it's lovely to that people respect that. You know, we've had people come up to us and say how what's the kind of the word now? I'm getting too old.
That's me.
No, I can't. You know, people just saying how much they appreciate what we do and that we're superstars, and we're just two normal people. But it is lovely to have that recognition, and it's lovely that people think that of us. That's a really nice
We
thing.
believe in what we do and stay true to it. I think the two for me, one's not about a surreal moment, but it kind of is. It's I lost my train of thought there. Going back to the first one, but the most surreal thing, it was life changing, was when we won the award because we had zero expectation, trust me, of winning this award. When we got through to the finals day judging, we said, "This is cool. We're here. We're in the final six. Nobody can ever take that away from us. Whatever happens, let's go and be ourselves." When we got up on stage, we were last in the process most of the way through, just the way it went up. We went up last for most things. So when we got up to receive our award for being a finalist, we were last up. We congratulated each other and said, "We've done it. We're up here." We were still at the edge of the stage. And whilst we were congratulating ourselves for getting there, I was more worried about falling off the edge of the stage. And then we got announced as the winners, and we just could. We it took probably a second to even contemplate what the guy from Sky Business and Steve Alton had said, and we couldn't. Not that was the most surreal moment of my life, I think, professionally wise.
Yeah, 'cause it genuinely felt like winning an Oscar. You know,
Yeah.
it's a prestigious award. It really is. It's you can't get any better than that. You know, you're officially the the
Yeah.
best licensee in the UK, and
We were looking around at the other
mad.
finalists on the stage, thinking these guys are really, really good and damn good people as well. And it was surreal. There was one part when we did our speech. Well, after I finished speaking, I stood back and Tommy was talking. That's the first time I'd actually looked up because I didn't want to look up at the crowd. Didn't realize quite how big it was and how many people were there. And we thought, yeah, this is the real deal. So that was something that I've never probably sunk in totally. Um, but yeah, the other thing I was going to say, sorry, I've remembered it now. I guess it's just that little thing where you suddenly realise after a few weeks that you're a bit of a degree of the voice for the industry and your community. Um, we love pubs in this area, and if we can champion them as well as us and boost the industry, it needs it at the minute, doesn't it? We need a lot of help at the minute. So if we can have that
100%.
little bit of a voice that might get listened to more than day to day when you're not getting any media attention locally and nationally, which we've had, that's been quite surreal. But it's not one light bulb moment. It's just generally thinking, Jesus, we're people are listening to what we're saying, and
Which
we
is
talk about
amazing, and guys, you know, you've been fantastic ambassadors so far for the industry and for the BII, and we're very very pleased and very fortunate to have you. We don't have, I don't think, any more questions. If anyone does have any issues, any questions, wants to know a little bit more, please get in touch with us. You can do that by emailing loya@bii.org, or you can contact me directly, and I'll be happy to make sure that you've got all of the information you need. But as Mike and Tommy have just said, you know, you've got to be in it to win it. Please put some time and thought into your application, and show us what you're all about. It would be fantastic to see you in the mix. And we very much look forward to the next explosive acceptance speech. For those of you that didn't have the pleasure of seeing Mike and Tommy's acceptance speech, you can actually watch that if you go onto the BIR website, where you can also see some short videos from the judging process at Sky, so you can see what it's all about, and the summer event, which is the
you've been
event where we
censored.
announce. I don't believe it is.
Oh, okay.
So listen, thank you, Mike, thank you, Tommy, and thank you, Gabe, for running the slides, and everybody for joining the call. And we look forward to seeing some of you in the competition this year. Have a great
Thanks,
day.
guys. Take care.
Thanks,
Good luck,
Bye.
everyone. Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.